Okay, this isn't a lion, it's a tiger, but wow, I love this card. You're not supposed to toot your own horn, but I'm telling you, toot toot. This is a great one. This, surprisingly, is a really easy to do card once you figure out how to go about it. I have a couple of prototypes that as I worked out the kinks, but that was so that when you come along and do the card, you don't have to go through that struggling. I've already done it for you. So, this card is going to be from my beautiful cousin Serena, who is welcoming her second baby come September. We can't wait to welcome the new addition. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl at this point. She probably knows, but I don't know yet. But I can't wait. And her little boy Miles is going to get a big brother or a little brother or a little sister. And it'll be great. And I thought that this card would be a very nice tribute to the changing of the guard, as it were. This card is not your standard baby card, as in it's not pink or blue or green or purple, and it's really a jungle card, but I thought it was really cute with the tie-in for the little baby tiger and the mama tiger, and I hope that Serena likes it. The card is going to show you a couple of different techniques, and it may sound a little bit challenging as I start going through it, but once you see what the steps are, it really is quite simple. And maybe you would like to try to make a window card yourself with whatever stamps that you have available. So I'm going to go over window card making, color layering, die cutting, and how to do a little bit of blending with distress inks. It sounds like a lot, and this video might be a little bit longer than my usual ones, but hang in there. It's worth it to be able to turn out such a beautiful card. I'm going to clear these things away and show you the materials that I needed to make the card. The paper dimensions that I'm using is a card base cut 8.5 by 5.5, a kraft panel cut 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, a white card panel cut 5 by 3 3/4, a white Bristol Smooth watercolor paper. I have two of them. One is cut 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and the other is cut 5 by 4. If you didn't want to use the Bristol paper, you could use regular paper, but I used this because I wanted something a little bit thicker. And also the blending will be a lot smoother on the Bristol paper. Set that aside. The stamps I'm using is the Color Layering Bengal Tigers with Die set by Hero Arts. This is a two-step stamp set where you stamp the outline of the tiger as well as the shadow, the coloring. So you do it in two steps. If you didn't want to bother with this, you could hand watercolor this or use watercolor pencils or markers, but with the stamp set it makes it very easy. I'm also going to be using the Spellbinders Matting Basics A and B. This is a multiples rectangles, and each one will nest inside the one in the other set. So if you wanted a larger gap, you could just get the one set, but if you wanted a more narrow gap, you could get both. I got these on sale on Amazon, so that's how come I got both, but you don't need both of them. But for this you needed both. I'm also using the Stampin' Up Something to Celebrate stamp set. I'm not using too many stamp set because this entire stamp set had everything in it that I needed. Now the inks. I'm using distressed Oxide inks, but distressed inks will work just fine. I'm using Spice Marmalade, Wilted Violet, Fired Brick, Fossilized Amber, Vintage Photo, and Peeled Paint. If you don't have these Distress Oxide inks and you don't have the regular Distress inks, you can also do it with regular dye inks, but it won't be as good blending as the Distress inks give you. I'm also going to be using 3 inks by Memento, Bamboo Leaves, Tangelo, and Cottage Ivy, and of course Versafine Onyx Black. I'm going to be using something new to my channel. I haven't done it before. This is a Molotow art masking liquid, and I'll show you how you use this as we get into the video. I'm also going to be needing Tombow and ink blending tools, and I think that's about it. Oh, I forgot. I need a pink marker, a blue marker, and my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. And I'm pretty sure that that's everything now. So let me clear these things away and we'll start right into the techniques that I'm going to teach you today. The first step is going to be to prepare the window in the card. This may not be the best way of doing it, but this is a way that I found and it works for me. If you can think of a better way to do it that isn't as clunky, please leave a comment down below and I will redo this card your way. So the first thing I need to do is take the card and turn it outside up, and I've got a little bit of water on it, but that will dry in a moment. And the white panel, which is 5 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to put it where I need it to be on the card. So I'm going to tape it down. And be sure that you get it centered, because it won't look right if it's crooked at this point. Okay. Now that I have that done, let me move this aside and bring in my big shot. I am using my magnetic platform, but you can use the regular multi-purpose platform if you don't have this one. So I'm going to take and put down my first cutting plate and put this in place, and take the larger of the squares, which I have determined to be let's see, this one, let's see, 1 2 3, the fourth one in from both. So you line it up straight as you can get it and centered. Forgive me, I want to take a little bit extra time, because if I mess it up at this point, it's not going to pass quality control. Okay, now I take my first plate, and I have written top on this one because I want to make sure that this one doesn't get cut through. The bottom one is taking all the cutting from the die cuts, and this one stays clean. So I'm running it through. Okay. And flip it over so I keep the warping to be a little bit consistent, and flip that one also. And here is the window. Save these 2 pieces for something else. I don't need it for this card. And move that aside. And now take the smaller of the cuts. And oh wait, I'm going to tape this down also, because I don't want it to move. So I'm taking this off camera and just put a little tape. That's all I'm doing. Sorry for not doing this in camera so that you can see it, but it's just tape. Okay. Now flip this over and line this up. And this is why it needs to be just a little bit smaller, because you don't want to get it in the way of the fold of the card. And that's crooked. I have to pull this closer so I could see it. Sorry. But trust me, I'm putting it in place. There. Now that's glued down. Now flip it back over. And now line this up in the center of the hole. And because I'm using a magnetic plate, it's holding it in place for me. So it won't shift once I run it through. It'll stay put. That's the benefit of getting the magnetic plate. So it's 35, 50 bucks, something like that. I don't remember, but it's worth it if you're going to be doing a lot of die cutting. But if you aren't, then you can make use with the magnetic the regular platform, multi-purpose, and some post-it tapes. Okay, there we go. And I think this needs to be this way now. And just run this through. Come on. Now, save that for later too. And easy as that, here is the window. See, very simple. All right, let me move this big bad boy out of the way. Actually, since I have it, let me do the next step and show you. What I need to do is cut out the die cuts for the little tiger and his mom. So to do that, I'm taking the smaller of the two watercolor papers. Do as I say, not as I do, because that's the larger one. And take the die cuts, which are on this, they're stuck together with a little bit of metal. I didn't separate them, but if you have separated them, you wouldn't have to do this step unless you wanted to. But this is an easy way to cut little small die cuts at one time and lining up where they go on the paper. So just lay the die cuts in place. And run it through. Ignore the cat who's climbing in a box beside me making all kind of noise. Thanks, cat. Silly kitty. And I'm going to keep them on this so they don't go shooting all over the place. Alright, now I'm done with the big shot. I'm going to take this out and show you the next thing. I'm finished with the die cut, so I'm going to just move them back to my magnetic sheet and out of the way. And here are all my die cuts. Do not throw this away. You need this for the next step. So set all of this aside for now. And now bring in the window and the larger of the white papers. It is probably easier at this point to tape this down. I mean, not tape it. Don't tape it. Don't listen to me. You're going to make a mistake. Fold it. So I'm going to fold this so that I can work a little bit cleaner. Alright, now here we go. This is the part that's going to be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try to go slow. You line the larger white paper where it's going to be in the card. Close the card and get your pencil. Where's my pencil? And make a very light tick mark onto the card stock. Not too heavy because you're going to have to erase this. Now this lets you know where the window is. And now that we know that, we're going to stamp the tiger. But we want the tiger to show from the inside also. So we're going to put him about here, the mama, and the baby is going to go about here like this. Okay. So I'm going to use my Misty for this to make sure that if I don't get a good impression the first time, I can do it again. So let me move this to the Misty. Make sure it's tucked in the corner, hold it down, and these little guys haven't moved, and they are relatively straight for me. If I stop moving it. Alright, now close the door, transfer them to the door, make sure this hasn't moved, and it hasn't, and take the Versafine, the black, and get a good coverage. You could also use Memento black or any black that you had. An archival black will work better because then you'll get a nice crisp look. And close the door and transfer the little guys there. And I want a little bit darker, so I'm going to give it another pass through. The benefit of using the Misty, you can fix little issues like that because her little ear didn't go. Much better. Alright, let me clean this off. I have my DIY stamp cleaner. There's a video on how to make this on my channel. Clean this off real quick. Stuff is falling. Alright, move that aside for now. The first thing I want to do is erase these pencil marks, because I will forget to do that if I don't do it now. And where's the other one? And the other one. Okay. Now, the magic. This art masking liquid will allow you to take away part of the image that you do not want to ink over it and keep it safe. So this, you have to give it a really good shake. And it's a pump action, so you give it a little pump to get it started, and it just flows right out. And you go all over the image just at the line. Don't go over it, because everywhere this masking fluid is, the ink will not be. So if you go over the line, then your background will have white areas, and you don't want that. So this is just watching me paint this, so I'll spare you that. But I'm basically going to paint this whole thing. You can do the same thing, by the way, with cement, rubber cement, which you can get at Staples or any office supply store, and it's very, very cheap. But this is good because it is a pen, and I can have better control over it, whereas the rubber cement is a little paintbrush. All right, Now this just needs to dry. It'll take a few minutes to, it goes very quickly. It's mostly dry in the center here, but if you can't go to the next step until it is completely dry. So just set this aside for now. The next step, I need to bring my Misty tool back in, and also this, because this is going to be the guide that helps with the placement of the stamps. So you put it in place, hold it down, and get Mr. Tiger and lay him right in the hole where the die cut was, and he will just pop right in. Okay, you were supposed to pop right in. There we go. There we go. And the baby tiger. Okay. The small butterfly, which is here, I think. Yeah. And the larger butterfly, which goes right here. I'm not going to put in the die cuts for the grass because I'm going to do that in another step. But if you wanted to do that in this step too, you could also put them back in. It's the same step. You would do this for any die cut. This is a little trick that will help you immensely when dealing with little itty bitty things. It's just a matter of making the die cut work for you. And pardon my head if it pops in, make sure I have it. There. Okay, and transfer it to the door. And I didn't get that one. There we go. Now, get the little die cuts and pop them in place. So this way you don't have to try and line up itty bitty die cuts. You use the negative space of the cutout to help you. This is a trick that I saw on Jennifer McGuire's blog. It's just like puzzle pieces. It looks like it's a big hassle, but really this is a huge time saver. I have done it the other way with, trying to line up and look through the stamp and find this little thing. This is really a lot easier. So set that aside. And where'd my ink go? Hello. Here it is. Versafine again. Ink it up real good. Okay. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Ta-da! Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Except that. Put the lie to it. That little butterfly. Come on, you. It's because of this magnet. There we go. I think you can see. And take these little guys. Set the butterflies aside because I'm not going to use them just yet. And set my guide aside. And before I move on to the next step, I'm going to get a piece of paper and stamp it one more time on this piece of paper. can get the little guy's head. There we go. Now I did that because I'm going to use this guide to help me line up the other stamps. So you just put it in place over the stamping. Just look right through it. It's very easy. Okay, let me clean this off and move it. I would have ordinarily grabbed the second Misty, but I got so much stuff on my desk. I have piled up a lot of things on top of the Misty. So we're making do. Just keeps you with me a few minutes longer. Okay, transfer it. Bring in my guide again. I'm going to leave this in place and make sure that I have lined it up right. Yes, and it is lined up right. Okay. Bring in my little pieces. There's the mama. There's the baby. Magnet to hold it down. And this time I'm grabbing the Tangelo, which is a fancy orange. And looks good to me. Let's see how we did. There we go. Very simple. You see them? Okay. Now I'll set that aside, clean this up, and move to the next step. Now, this is dry to the touch. It's a little tacky, but it's good enough. So I brought in a piece of paper, and now to start the ink blending. I have the colors arranged in a sunset fashion. I'm going to start with the brown and just bring it in, and you go right over the masked tigers. And this is why you have to let it dry, because if you didn't, you'd be smearing it all over the place. So I'm going to just go through the colors and play the music that my brother provides, and enjoy. There we are, all blended. very quick, very easy. As I said, you can use the regular distress inks. You don't have to use only the distress oxide, and if you don't have either one, you could use whatever colors you had. Just your blending wouldn't be as smooth as this. And also I grabbed my glove because I don't want messy fingers. Okay, let me clear this away and show you the next step. Alright, now I'm going to bring in my sentiment and put it right there. It says, "Let your beauty run wild." And I want it just about here. Okay, I'll clean that stamp later. Now I need to get a paper towel. You can remove this with your finger with just giving it a rub, but I don't particularly like that, so I'm going to rub it with a paper towel. So first I'm going to rub a little lightly to make sure that I have all the ink off that's sitting on top, and I do, I hope. So now get a clean side and just give a really hard push, and as you see, it comes right off and it is completely white beneath it. So I'll speed this part up. Okay, and there you see, all safe. They didn't get damaged at all from the blending. If you were to use the rubber cement, it works exactly the same way. So again, this is the Molotow art masking liquid. There's several different versions on available, but that is the one that I'm using. All right, now I need to bring my MISTI back in and stamp the body of the color for the two tigers. And everything else is card assembly, and it's nothing complicated, so I'm going to let the music run that my brother provides and just assemble the card. right, that is a finished card. It was a lot of techniques to learn today. I hope that you didn't get lost following along with me. I hope that Serena likes the card. I wish I had stamped this over just a little bit more. So if you were to do this card, it's a good idea to take your sentiment and line it up about where you want it to go. Open the card and then stamp. Because then you could have avoided this little issue I had. And also I didn't have an extra one of the large butterflies, so I may do with the small one. But each one will be unique. So the card is very cute. I hope that you think so. And it was a lot to learn, but it was really worth it. I hope you think so. Thanks for watching. And oh, let me tell you, if you don't like how this looked here with the little the guys here, you could cut out another one and put it on the back of it if you wanted to, but I think it's fine that way. It's up to you. Thanks for watching. I'd like to thank my brother David for the music that he provided for this channel. I really appreciate all the help, all the good comments, and all the feedback that I'm getting. Please pass the word and let people know that I have videos. New videos up, go pretty frequently. I appreciate all the positive feedback that I'm getting. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and in the comment section below, please leave any comments or feedback or any advice you would have on how to make a better approach to the window card. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Take care.